Straight ahead on CCX News.
When we come with our culture and tradition.
Residents want more diversity in catering at the Brooklyn Park Community Activity Center. Plus,
we completely redid the inside of the library.
14 months later, we'll show you the revamped Ridgedale Library. But next, approval for a second set of eyes to see how Brooklyn Park's fire department measures up. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Slatton. The Brooklyn Park Fire Department has been fighting fires for more than 60 years, and in that time, people and technology have changed. But some people believe the fire department hasn't changed enough. Reporter Meredith Hackler joins us to explain what changes could be coming next. Meredith?
Shannon, the Brooklyn Park City Council approved a strategic plan to determine the fire department's future. The fire department will complete a two-phase study of their day-to-day operations.
I believe that having a plan is a great framework and guide for the future, especially as we look at growth and the service demands that are impacting fire and EMS agencies locally and across the state and also the country. So as we look towards the future, it's really nice to have an outline of where we're going to go.
The first phase will look directly at the fire department's data and determine if it's meeting national benchmark requirements through the eyes of an independent consultant. The second part will look at the department's strengths and weaknesses, which will determine its plan for the future. While internal reviews have taken place in the past regarding whether to add more full-time staff or paid on-call firefighters, this is the first time the fire department will have a third-party entity involved in how they move forward.
This is a process that we're taking that one giant leap forward and really engaging a third-party external facilitator that is completely unaffiliated with the city to look at an unbiased look at our operation today and spend a lot of time looking at our data.
The gathering of data and plan itself will take around 4 to 6 months to complete. After that, the city and fire department will be implementing the plan over the next 3 to 7 years, which is a normal timetable when looking at a department's future. The city approved $40,000 to be spent on this strategic plan. Shannon?
All right, thank you, Meredith. Brooklyn Center residents will have to get used to new parking restrictions this winter. The City Council gave final approval to additional parking restrictions when it snows. Under the new rules, no one in Brooklyn Center should park on city streets after a snowfall of 2.5 inches or more, and that's until they're plowed curb to curb. Enforcement could include a citation and your vehicle getting towed. Some council members felt the new rules will disproportionately affect low-income residents, especially apartment tenants. Others felt the new policy will better help emergency personnel.
When I lived in St. Paul, I had to park on the street. And they had all kinds of crazy plowing regulations and parking restrictions on Como Avenue. And I had to navigate that. So I'm very sensitive to the experience of people that suffer from that. But at the same time, the city has an obligation in terms of safety to clear the streets.
The City Council approved the new snow parking rules by a 3-2 vote. Another issue brought up is many Brooklyn Center apartments were built in the 1960s, a time when city codes required fewer parking spaces. The midterm elections are just 6 weeks away, which means it's crunch time for Hennepin County. The county is looking for election judges in a few cities, including in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. Minnesota law requires each city to have judges from both political parties in the polling place on Election Day. Brooklyn Park is looking for Republican judges, while Brooklyn Center just needs judges in general.
Election judges do a number of things in the polling place on Election Day. You check in voters, you hand them their ballots, you explain to them how to fill out a ballot. Some judges work with the voting equipment, so we're especially looking for people who are familiar with technology, not that you have to have a high level of technical acumen in order to do that.
Election judges need to be an eligible voter, and they are required to go through a brief training session. The county says there's no reason to panic, though. They typically are still looking for judges this close to Election Day. People living in the West Metro now have their library back. After 14 months of construction, the Ridgedale Library is open for business once again. As Delane Cleveland reports, the renovated library was designed to meet the changing expectations of patrons.
I think this place is great.
Every year, more than 300,000 people make their way to the Ridgedale Library. Lindsay Kabosnik of Plymouth is one of them.
Well, my little boy loves to pick up books from the library. He thinks it's super fun to kind of explore, and we like to kind of get new books.
The library can introduce her son to a world of imagination and adventure. But as he gets older, the hope is that $7 million worth of renovations will keep him and other children coming back.
We completely redid the inside of the library.
Ann Woodson Hicks helped oversee the 14-month construction project, which transformed this 55,000 square foot space. The library now has more meeting rooms,
Like a media room. So we have an opportunity for people to bring their own device in, plug in. We have the cords.
improved Wi-Fi connection, 100 more electrical outlets, and more natural light. It was a project driven in large part by the feedback of patrons.
The library needs to be about the community, and the best way for us to do that is to actually hear from the community.
The last time Ridgedale had undergone a major renovation was in 1999, but the needs and wants of people have changed since then.
I think a lot of it is probably just staying relevant. Certainly the books are the basis of that relevancy. We also have heard and know that people need a place to congregate and collaborate.
Now, patrons here can congregate with more comfort and convenience. Upon first glance, Lindsay likes what she sees.
I think it's nice that it's open and it looks a lot cleaner and the stations are set up nicely. It seems like it's very kid-friendly.
After 14 months of construction, library officials are eager for those 300,000 visitors to return and enjoy.
This is what I look forward to the most, is the grand opening and turning the building back over to the public.
At the Ridgedale Library, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
The Ridgedale Library opened in 1982. After the renovations, the library will still have the same amount of books, CDs, and DVDs in its collection, and that is 220,000 items worth. If you have ever planned a wedding, you know finding the right caterer is tough. People renting the Community Activity Center in Brooklyn Park want more options, and we have that story coming up. Plus, Cooper takes on Hopkins in girls and boys soccer. We have the highlights. But first, the first week of fall will feel like it. Temperatures next weekend might not get higher than 60. You could soon have more options for catering at the Community Activity Center in Brooklyn Park. Like most event spaces, the CAC has a preferred list of licensed caterers approved to serve food at that facility. But reporter Sonia Goen shows us why people want more options.
The Brooklyn Park Community Activity Center is a popular place for weddings, parties, and other gatherings. But if you plan on getting your groove on at the CAC, you got to know this. You can only bring in food and beverages from a group of 4 caterers.
Lancer Catering, Lookout Catering, Roasted Pear, and Jumbo Africa.
The city is considering expanding the list and making it an open policy where any licensed caterer could bring in food.
Being able to choose your own caterer and bring them in to the CAC will be a good thing.
The goal would also be to bring in more business. Right now, the facility is only renting about 56% of Saturdays throughout the year.
We've potentially lost some room rentals in the past because we couldn't provide the catering options that people were looking for, so they looked elsewhere for their room rental.
They have 4 caterers that do not really meet our needs.
Imam Muhammad Dukli is a Brooklyn Park resident and operates a mosque in Brooklyn Center.
We are Muslims. If we are asked for halal food, I will have to incur extra charge, and they might not even provide the kind of food that we will want.
Imam Dukli is asking the city to allow folks to bring in their own food and beverages, licensed or unlicensed.
This is a diverse community. You have people from Laos, you have Hmong people here, you have Indians. If they want biryani, Jumbo Africa cannot provide that.
During the recent Ramadan celebration, members of Masjid Al-Ansar Mosque held their event at a school in Brooklyn Park. Dukli says he wishes the Community Activity Center was an option.
We pay taxes and we really want to spend whatever resources we are taking to other cities to remain here, because that will help to improve this place, not just for us, but for generations to come.
Now, city officials say if they allowed people to bring in their own food, it could result in unsafe food conditions. That's why the city requires caterers at the CAC to be licensed. Meanwhile, Parks and Recreation staff is currently drafting a policy that will eventually go back to the Recreation and Parks Commission and also to the City Council for approval. The current caterer contracts expire April 30th, 2019. Shannon?
All right, thank you, Sonia. Still ahead, we'll explain what's brewing for Omni's 3rd anniversary. But first, the Wayzata girls swimming and diving team is one of the state's top teams this fall. John Jacobson is in next with sports.
The Wayzata girls swimming team is young this season and has a new head coach. But the Trojans are still favorites to win a section title and challenge for a state title. Here's Jason Malillo with more.
Lauren Mall has coached swimming for 10 years, mostly at the club level in Wisconsin. But her short time as the head coach at Wayzata has been a new experience.
I'm not used to having this many elite swimmers on my team all at the same time. In Green Bay, it was more like a huge range of abilities, but it's really fun for me to come in and have girls that really crave to be pushed, and they really want to win and they want to accomplish a lot. I'm not used to that, but that's something I've always wanted.
The Trojans have a few key returners, including Madison Rundell, who finished 7th in the 500 freestyle at state last year, and Jordan McGinty, who was the state runner-up last year in the 100 free.
She's just an amazing role model for all of the athletes to look up to, and in every meet she swims her best. She swims to win, and she's such a determined person.
Wayzata has lost 2 dual meets this season, but the girls say they've actually been energized by those defeats.
I think it motivates us more as a team. It makes us strive and drive during practice even more. I mean, a loss is a loss, but we'll take it as a chance to succeed even more.
In those losses, the Wayzata Divers have scored a lot of points to keep the Trojans in contention. On the board, Wayzata is led by senior Claudia Wickman, and she's confident her team will be in the mix at the final meet of the season.
I think we could really do it, top 3 for sure. We've been working really hard, and I don't know, I think the swimmers all look really good, and so do the divers, so I think we could do it.
Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
The Trojans host Hopkins at Lifetime Fitness in Plymouth on Thursday. The Wayzata girls tennis team has had a tough season against good competition. The Trojans came out swinging Monday, though, as they played host to Elk River in a non-conference match. Number 1 doubles, Arena Kornberg serves for Wayzata, and Lauren Lowe puts away an overhead smash for a Trojans point. Same match, and Lowe will win the battle of quick hands at the net. Lowe and Kornberg beat Riley Mathis and Emma Anderson 6-2, 6-2. First singles play, and Elk River's Dee Docken in the far court. A nice backhand volley. Looks like a winner, but Miriam Stamen runs it down, goes cross court with a forehand. She wins the point for the Trojans and wins the match 6-2, 6-3. Number 2 singles, Wayzata's Annika Aluia is in the far court against Paige Anderson. Great forehand winner here, but it's Anderson of Elk River taking the match 6-2, 6-3. Third singles, it's Olivia Panning, far court for the Trojans. Lydia Hawk comes toward the net. Panning shot down the line, though, good for a point. And she'll win in straight sets, and Wayzata takes the match over Elk River 5-2. Now to soccer, where the regular season ends late next week. In a non-conference doubleheader Monday, the Hopkins Royals were looking to break a 6-match winless streak in girls soccer when they hosted Cooper. First half, Cooper goalkeeper A.J. Giron, nice save on Lavin Douglas, deflecting that shot wide. But Douglas would get one in the net later in the first half. She gets to the loose ball and scores here on the short side. The Royals are on the board. They lead it 1-0 at halftime. Second half, Hopkins' Reese Lovell steps inside a Cooper defender. She'll blast a shot into the Hawks' net. That one makes it 2-0, and that's it for the scoring. Royals freshman goalie Olivia Rivera preserves the shutout. A couple of nice second half saves, and Hopkins blanks Cooper 2-0. In the boys' match between those schools, good first half scoring chance for the Royals. Number 14, Musa Jante in close. Nice defensive play by Wilson Racinos of Cooper, though, allows Sam Thurston to make the save. The Royals do get on the board late in the first half. Eddie Garcia gets his shot past Thurston and in. That's the only scoring of the night. Hopkins wins for the first time in boys soccer this season. 1-0 is the final. Live volleyball tonight, Tuesday on CCX as Armstrong hosts Osseo. That's all for sports. Shannon, back to you.
All right, thanks, Sean. The city of New Hope has undergone quite a change in the last decade. The first Hy-Vee in the Twin Cities went up where an old Kmart store used to be. Construction on a new city hall is underway, and with the new growth, of course, there is an increased budget next year, too. There are 2 city council members running unopposed for re-election, and today we'll let you hear from them. They are John Elder and Jonathan London.
Hello, my name is John Elder, and I'm on the New Hope City Council. I've lived in New Hope for over 30 years, along with my wife, and we have raised our 3 children here. I have been a soccer coach, a scout leader, and a police officer in this community. I'm a regional coordinator at a church in town, and I'm also on the board of directors for the West Metro Fire Department and the 7 Dreams Foundation for our schools. I'm committed to this community as a citizen and as an elected official. As a councilman, I serve on the Watershed Management District, have been a member of the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon campaign board of directors, and a founding board member for the New Hope Community Farmers Market. This city has benefited greatly from a strong leadership that you've elected. We have seen strong growth in both housing and commercial redevelopment in our city. As you can see, I've worked hard for the citizens of New Hope. I'm asking for your vote in November to allow me to continue this service to you.
Hello, I'm Jonathan London. I'm running for re-election to the New Hope City Council. I have been honored to serve the residents of New Hope for the last 4 years. I have resided in New Hope since 1976 and have witnessed many changes to the city. New Hope was in its prime in the 1970s and 80s. Then, in the 1990s and 2000s, parts of the city diminished. I chose to run in 2014 to restore the city's vitality. Today, we are making progress with new single-family housing and business redevelopment. Some of my future goals are fiscal responsibility, proactive ordinance enforcement, effective and accountable public safety, and continued housing and business redevelopment. I look forward to my next term serving the citizens of New Hope, and I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Up next, 800 pounds of fruit make up something special in Maple Grove. Why Omni Brewing is celebrating. We'll tell you that story when we come back. And finally, an anniversary celebration where it's pretty easy to gather up the beverages. Omni Brewing celebrates its 3rd year in business in Maple Grove this weekend. Their party starts Friday at noon and will continue on Saturday and Sunday. Omni has also always looked at itself as a little different than your average tap room. Case in point, if you have never tried yoga, here's a way to start. On Sunday morning, Omni will host a free yoga session.
We're trying to be a little bit lower key, calmer place to have a conversation, not a loud, noisy bar. And, you know, I think yoga is a great way to start that day from a real calm place.
And you can look for special craft beer releases, including a mango blackberry sour IPA. The brewery used 800 pounds of fruit to make that beer. We'll see you next time.